What's up, everyone? I hope you're doing awesome. My name is Nathan. It's been a long time since we've seen each other, and unfortunately, I don't know that this is not like a big comeback, but I've been playing some Magic Online lately, and I thought, why don't I just record one of my runs through a league instead of just doing it in silence? And I want to talk to you guys also about some interesting changes with the deck. I've just been really busy lately. It's summer here, and I was just looking at the sun. There's been more socializing. We've had a string of visitors coming through our house. We've been doing some traveling. My wife is pregnant. Work, all that stuff. And the other thing is, I've been riding my bike a lot more lately. So a lot of the time where I may have had 2 or 3 hours in the middle of the day is now taken up by cycling. I've still been managing to find time to play Magic. It's just been like in very small spurts between meetings or just taking a break from work, stuff like that. So I just haven't had a lot of time to commit to this. But I'm kind of back again, at least playing Magic Online from a short hiatus. And I was on hiatus more or less because I kind of do this thing where I'll grind a bunch of matches and I get a little impatient because I've just been playing so much, and I want the wins to come quickly. I want the games to go quickly, and I start playing kind of fast and loose, and then I start making mistakes, and then I get frustrated, and then I take a break. And so now I'm back, and leagues have been going pretty well. I've had some 4-1s, no 5-0s in the competitive leagues. I think I had a 4-1 in the competitive league, and then I've had a bunch of 3-2s. And what's frustrating about the 3-2s isn't that I went 3-2. It's that basically every loss, except maybe like one, has been attributed to me sort of playing kind of fast and loose and being impatient, primarily against Infect. So I'm going to try to clean that up for you guys. But yeah, so that's kind of what's been going on. That's where I've been. That's what I've been doing. Let's talk a little bit about the deck because there's some differences here to what you would normally see me play. So let's just go from left to right. I'm running 23 lands. Jeskai Geist normally has run 25 lands. You ran 4 Colonnades. You ran 25 lands. You've had 5 drops. You had 5 drops in the form of Batterskull, Koranos, or Thunder Mahalkite in the main. And as I've been playing the deck, kind of sort of slowly over time, I've been streamlining it a little bit more. It's not like it's been a long sort of active pursuit in streamlining. It's just been sort of happening as I've been refining the deck. So I normally what I had settled on was 4 Colonnades, 24 lands, 3 Serum Visions. I decided to change up the mana base a bit, drop a land in favor of a Serum Visions. So I'm running the full 4, and I wanted to include a couple of remands more just for some additional card velocity, and also because there are situations in which you get a Geist of St. Traft into play, and remand is just the best thing to do. I do like Mana Leak a lot more than remand right now in the format because there's a lot of aggressive decks. Everybody's playing a lot of efficient spells. Remanding them isn't very good. Mana Leaking them is better. And against decks like Tron and stuff, I think Mana Leak is better because you'll remand Karn if you have to, sure. And if you can manage to assemble a board state in which they have nothing, you have a Geist and a remand in hand, you're in good shape. But because of their cost difference, because Geist comes down before or after remand, it's not always easy to assemble that. You can. But I want to talk about why we're running these 6 counters in a second. So overall, what I'm doing here with the deck is we've trimmed on our 3 drops. There's no electrolyzes. We're really sort of trying to maximize our ability to play multiple spells a turn on turn 4. And the other thing that we're trying to do with the deck is set up to be able to go turn 1 Disruption, turn 2 Disruption, Geist of St. Traft, and then hopefully kill whatever they play, hold up Mana Leak, something like that. I was thinking, like, what does this deck want to do? Like, how does this deck win with Geist the most times? And I think that the way it does it, I think the best thing that can do is really to be on the play. It helps. And you go, like, turn 1, Bolt their Bird, turn 2, Mana Leak, whatever it is they play, turn 3, play Geist on an empty board. Because when you play Geist on an empty board, you're going to untap with 4 mana, and well, ideally, you'll untap and play your 4th land. and they won't have a board, or maybe they play a Finks or something like that, in which case you can path it. But the idea is you want to have a counter in your hand to counter something before you play Geist, and then maybe have a counter in your hand after the fact, because the other thing that the deck can probably do best is to go play Geist, untap. Let's say they play 2 creatures. All your spells are really efficient. So now you can play multiple spells a turn, because all of your cards are really efficient, and you're rewarded by doing that because you're going to deal so much damage. So you play your Geist, you untap, and then you go path the Tarmogoyf you played, bolt whatever the thing it is you played, maybe even hold up Mana Lake. That would be amazing. Because you're going to get in for 6, and then they're going to play a thing, you're going to leak it, and you're going to get in for 6 again. And by that point, you probably just have the game locked up. So this deck is really sort of built on the theory that the best thing to do is go turn 1 kill a thing, or turn 1 bolt you if you don't have a play, and then hold up Mana Lake, and then play a Geist, or even a Remand. The other reason that we've cut down Colonnades is because we're running more turn 1 things. We're running 4 Serum Visions. We're running a Grim Lavamancer. And Colonnade kind of interferes with that. And also, I was sort of thinking about it, and the control deck obviously has to run 4 Colonnades because it's one of its main win conditions. But in our deck, Colonnade is really like plan C. Plan A is to win with Geist and Restoration Angel. Plan B is to get in a couple of shots with Resto or Geist if you can, and then win with Snapcaster Mage Beats and Bolt Snap Bolt. You're not really relying on Colonnade as much. That's your plan C. You're not relying on Colonnade as much because you have all these other creatures you're trying to kill them with. And so we don't necessarily have to run 25 lands to support Colonnade. The other reason you run 25 lands is to ensure that you hit your 3rd land drop on 3, which is important, but I still think that I think that with a couple of remands to Cantrip and Serum Visions, that's still something that we can do. Turn 1 Serum Visions into turn 2 Mana Leak is still a fine play. There's not too many things on turn 1 that they're going to play that you necessarily have to kill with a bolt. And against some decks, like I said, you're fine to just bolt them. Now, Colonnade is still great. It's just that there's a downside to running 4. They come into play tapped. And sometimes in the deck, it's enough to just have 1 Colonnade because you go you attack with Geist and an Angel, or an Angel and a Geist, or whatever it is, and then you untap, and your final attack is activating Colonnade and swinging with Geist, so you get the 8 damage in the air. So I don't think that the deck needs 4 Colonnades. And I think if you're not running Serum Visions, or if you're only running a couple of Serum Visions, and you're running Electrolyzes and things, maybe you can get away. Maybe the 4 Colonnades is fine. You're a little bit slower of a deck, but this deck wants to not run the Electrolyzes. I mean, I could run 1. I think in certain situations it's great, but we also have Is It Static Caster, Engineered Explosives, Anger of the Gods right now for decks where you kind of want to Electrolyze anyway. And it's just that Electrolyze is really expensive. Like I said, on turn 3, we want to be turning the corner if we can, and one of the ways we're going to come back is to play multiple spells and stuff like that. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do with the deck. Now, the other thing is I'm on 4 Angels still. I have often thought about making this 3, just because, we have trimmed down to 23 lands, so we would want to slim down our 4 drops. The reason I usually run 3 is just because in games, it is one of our best. It is outside of Geist, it's probably the best creature in the deck. It synergizes well with Geist. It synergizes well with Snapcaster Mage. I can't tell you how many times when I'm playing as the control deck, I use Restoration Angel to blink a Snapcaster Mage, to flashback a Lightning Bolt, to gain some more card advantage, and then to start attacking with a Restoration Angel. I win lots of games off Restoration Angel, and so I do feel like it's a core component of the deck, but it does cost 4. We are running 23 lands, so there is a chance that this guy gets cut in favor of something a little sleeker. I don't know what that would be yet. It's possible that I would do. I don't want to do too many counters. I think we have enough. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention. I haven't really been high on Spell Snare, actually, because I feel like my main reason is, like I said, I think what we want to do is we're not really looking to just trade Spell Snare with any card. We're trying to set up so that we can just be disruptive no matter what they play. And so I think we want our counters to be very we just want them to work on anything. And you can't depend on Spell Snare the same way you can depend on one of these when you untap with a Geist of St. Traff. So but I'm open to trying a couple, one or two again, just because it is on the plan of, like, let's say this Resto was out and, I don't know, we trimmed a leak or something and we had 2 Spell Snares. It is on the plan of turn 1 Disruption, turn 2 Disruption, turn 3 Geist. It's just that it's a much worse top deck, and I'm not confident that it fits the plan. So this Restoration Angel could get cut just to streamline the deck a bit more. I don't think that I'm still at the phase where I want to try to get by without the Electrolyze. So maybe it could be another Remand. It could be a Spell Snare. It could be a Valorous Stance. It could be I'm not really too high on Boros Charm, but it could be. It could just be like a Logic Nod. Is it Charm? Is probably not a bad choice. But anyway, I'm not convinced yet that I want to cut the 4th Angel. I have experienced Angel Flood, but I've also just won games because I've been flooded on Angels. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Let's talk about the sideboard. The one thing I do like about the counter, about having more counters, is I feel like our Ad Nauseam matchup looks a little bit better, and our combo matchups look a little bit better, because now we're sort of we get to board into having 4 leaks, 2 remands, and then 2 dispels and 2 negates. So we're able to go to 10 counters in the deck, which I really like. So this is sort of this pile here is kind of like our combo package. Obviously, dispels also come in against collected companies, things running Court of Callings, burn, stuff like that. I've gone down to 1 Stony Silence. I've played against Affinity quite a few times lately, and I've said it before and I've said it again. The matchup is really about Etch Champion. I haven't actually, of the 3 matches that I've beat Affinity, I only resolved a Stony Silence in 1 game. I've just been able to get there with, Anger's been pretty good, but Staticaster, just our main deck, right? Grim Lavamancer, Bolts, and Helixes and Paths is still really good. And then we have Explosives and Wear Tears and Staticasters, and obviously the Stony Silence. And then I don't remember exactly what my board plan is, but I've been leaving in 2 or 3 leaks because I've been hitting the Etch Champions with those. We don't have an answer directly to Etch Champion. I have been running this, and just the last league, this was my sort of configuration. But there's a lot of Zoo right now. And Kozilek's Return does kill. It does kill Manlands, and it does kill Master of Voids, which isn't to be ignored. But I just feel like Anger is probably where we want to be. So this is sort of what our small creature. These are like our small creature cards here. You could put Engineered Explosives into that. We have Is it Staticaster, Anger, and then oops, I see. So this is for our small creatures. Is it Staticaster is kind of more for Lingering Souls and tokens and really small creatures, but obviously there is some overlap here. Then we have kind of what I guess I would call our Haymaker spells, or our big blowout cards, and that's Stony Silence, Grafdigger's Cage. I'm doing Grafdigger's Cage because against it is more. This is taking the spot of what was a Rest in Peace, and for the decks that were so Rest in Peace you won against Living End. I haven't seen Living End in quite a while. And against Collected Company, this just does a ton. It turns off all their cords. It turns off all their Collected Companies. It turns off their Kitchen Finks. It does so much. It also just... It turns off our Snapcaster Mage, but I think it hurts them more than it hurts us. It's also good against the Dredge deck. The other nice thing about the Dredge deck is Rest in Peace costs 2, and sometimes they run Disruption, so they have a chance. If this is in your opener, they can actually snag your Rest in Peace before you can play it, but they can't get rid of your Grafdigger's Cage. So it's good against the Dredge deck that's been floating around. It's good against part of the Gristle Brand deck, which I haven't seen much of. Excuse me. Let me clear my throat 1 second. So it's something I'm trying. I think it could be. It's obviously really good against the decks that it's really good against, and it's so good against the decks that it's really good against. I think it cripples them more than it hurts you. Stony Science, obviously, for Affinity. These two cards are kind of like our catch-alls, and in the past we've run Explosives instead of Anger as the sweeper, but part of the reason is you can be selective and you can kill things without killing your Geist of St. Traft. I think that Grafdigger's Cage I think the Engineering Explosive is a little mana inefficient for what it's doing. And I think, against those decks, we're trimming on some Geist anyway. So we can probably just set up to go like Anger and then follow it up with a Geist. And I think that if we're primarily killing creatures, Anger is just better than Explosives. And then we sort of have... just more, I don't know, I'd call them like utility cards. Celestial Purge is good against a lot of decks. It's good against the Hiri, it's good against Liliana, it's good against like Death Shadow decks. And then this is really just for Jund, and we'll bring it in against control matchups as well. I like it a little less that we're only running 23 lands. It could be something else. I was running Gideon, and Gideon's been pretty good, but he's also died. Like, the problem with Gideon is he comes in with 4 loyalty, and sometimes they can still just double bolt him out, and then you've just made a 2/2. I mean, sure, it's card disadvantage for your opponent, but he doesn't always take over the game as assuredly as Elspeth Sun's Champion does. And so then I had this 15th slot, and I wasn't sure what to put. I've been playing against a ton of Infect and things like that, and then I realized that Pithing Needle is great against Infect because you can either name Spellskite, you can also just name Inkmoth Nexus, which is fantastic. Pithing Needle can name Nahiri. Pithing Needle can name Liliana. I mean, Pithing Needle it's just a really versatile card, and it's one that I've been happy to have. So when I sort of was like, I don't know what to pick, I decided to just make the 15th card the Pithing Needle. So that's the deck as it is right now. That's the sideboard. Let's jump into some games. I will see you guys in just a moment. All right, here we go. So this hand isn't great. Because obviously we don't have much interaction, we don't have any removal, but we do have a Geist, we do have a draw step, and we can cycle into a Remand. So I don't think it's great. I think it's a hand that I'm willing to try and keep. We could get punished if we're facing a really aggressive deck, but I'm just second guessing myself. But we also have turn 2 Snapcaster Mage, so yeah, I think I'll give this a whirl. By the way, I'm sorry about the lighting. I know that I'm dark. The issue is this room is incredibly bright in a really good way. My ceiling is actually really more of like it's made of glass, which is awesome. But, of course, now I messed this up. Which is awesome, but it means that like the lighting in here is not great. I have a lamp here in front of me, but to try to light up my face a bit, but it's not very good. My whole workspace has been moved. I was in the guest room, which I've relinquished because I said we had so many guests. It was easier to just have a workspace in the living room. Anyway, because I don't care about all that, just explaining. So let's see. If they don't do anything, we're definitely going to go Snapcaster Mage on 2. If they do something, we'll remand it. Let's see what we're up against. Excuse me. I've had like this upper respiratory congestion. I have no idea why. In fact, I probably should take my expectorant medicine. Give me one moment. Okay, we're back, and it looks like our opponent just went turn 1 Suspend Ancestral, so this could be Jeskai Geist, it could be Let's play this tapped. Could be just kind of hairy. It could be like Blue Moon. It could be not Bitter Blossom, Fairies. Double Island, my guess is that we're probably looking at... we're going to just do the Snapcaster Mage as discussed. My guess is that we're looking at Blue Moon. Triple Island, I have no idea what we're playing against. Let's go ahead and attack with Snap. It's on 2. Let's see here. Oh, you know what this is? This is probably the Taking Turns deck, almost assuredly. So let's see. So we could tap out. We could try to Geist here. I think if it's Taking Turns, I think we do. He gets his Howling Mine effect online, but then we get our clock in play. And if he Remands or Mana Leaks Geist, then he's not... then he's not putting his Howling Mine effect into play, so I think that that's the right thing to do. Yeah, so, okay. If he didn't counter Geist, then I would have expected to see... I would have expected to see whatever the Howling Mine effect is, but maybe it's a different deck entirely. Okay, so we're going to hit for 8 next turn, so this Bolt plus another attack is lethal. I don't really care if he resolves this Ancestral Visions. I have a Remand in hand, and I'm more content to use it for something that stops what we're doing. Yeah, so we're definitely going to Remand this guy. Bolt our opponent. And that's game 1. As far as sideboarding, let's see. Definitely want to bring in the Wear Tear, and I think we probably want all of our counter magic. I think the explosives is probably a bit clunky. We do not like these paths, although I think now they're using, like, I think it's called Part the Water Veil, and they awaken something. The Grim is probably just too slow and clunky as well. So there's 5 and 5. I'm trying to... What could we... Is Pithing Needle? Because I don't think that they're really activating Jace Bellerin anymore. I think they're just suspending Ancestral and then trying to take more turns. So... Could bring in explosives. I think this is probably fine. See, now this is... We look better against that type of deck than the other versions because we just have so much control magic now. We have 4 Leaks, 2 Remands, 2 Negates, 2 Dispels. I'm not crazy about the burn, but that is probably how we're going to end up beating him anyway. Yeah, I think that this is fine, so let's give this a shot. I like that we have the Flash Threats too, because... I don't know why that came over there. I like the Flash Threats because he has to play, well, unless he's got Giga Drowse, but he mainly has to play his take an extra turn cards on his turn. But we can hold up counter magic and then deploy our threats at the end of his turn, so that's cool. So probably gonna ship this. Not probably, definitely going to. This is great. Let's see. I think we're gonna bottom this guy. We're gonna try to find some counter magic. Suspending another Ancestral or Serum Visions, perhaps. So here we're going to go turn one, or no, sorry, here we're going to shock ourselves for Steam Vents so that we can bolt and play Visions. And those are both great. So let's just go top. Alright, so we'll definitely get to resolve this Geist, which is great. I'll just go ahead and shock. I don't think it really matters. So now we're going to untap, and we're going to have a negate and a dispel in hand, which is fantastic. And the ability to deploy another threat at the end of his next turn. He's welcome to Ancestral Visions. This is not what we're fighting over. I'm just thinking about, do we play the Angel or not? The reason I'm thinking is our opponent's dead in 2 attacks. If we play the Angel, we allow him to, we could let him resolve a Howling Mine. If he resolves, let's see, if he puts a Howling Mine into play, I think we're just really in it right at this point. I think we just care about countering his extra turn cards. See, Geist plus Angel is 9. I guess that means he's dead to a burn spell if we rip one. So, yeah, I guess I'm fine to go ahead and play an Angel. And if he plays a mine, then if he plays flashes in a Howling Mine, then there's maybe more of a chance that we actually draw that bolt to then kill him next turn with Dispel backup. Okay, Remand is totally okay with me. Our clock is still going to be the same. It's pausing for a Giga Drowse or something. I don't think they play Snapcaster Mage, aka in this position Ambush Viper. So our opponent could, I guess, Giga Drowse for, I guess, is it 1 or is that 2? So if he just does it for the 1, we can negate with Colonnade and Sacred Foundry, and then if he dispels it or something, we can shoot one of our lands to dispel that. So I will float a blue, but I think we're okay. It's okay if he, unless he, oh, what is this? Oh, so he's just going to Swan Song his own Giga Drowse so that he can kill Geist. I mean, so obviously we can dispel this, which might just be the thing to do. We could also go like just play Geist, but then he's untapped with 5 mana. And an Ancestral that will, if he plays an extra turn, will come off suspend. So I think we actually just want to dispel this. That way we can have negate up next turn. Because like if he goes like extra turn card, which he just did. So he may have a backup counter for this, but I still think that these are the things that we want to try to fight over, so to speak. So we'll try to negate. So this could be bad because our opponent's going to draw 4 and play a land and then probably take another turn, which then it starts to get sketchy if we actually ever get to untap again. I still think our line was great, though. It was correct to dispel so that we could hold up negate rather than just let Geist run into a... It also would have shortened our clock by 1 because we would have taken... He would be at 7 instead of 5. So if he's not able to go off here, then... And it's going to be hard for him, I think, because even if he takes an extra turn, he'd have to have a lot of taking extra turn cards in his hand. Because he's not doing anything with that take an extra turn. Let's see. Do we flash in Restoration Angel, or do we just appear shield? Do we just go shields down? He's copying it twice. He's basically just going to try and tap down our blue sources. So my guess is he's tapping down our blue sources here so that he can flash in the Dictate. He must have some plan, though, to not die to Geist, at least I would assume. What our options are, if we let him do this, we're just sort of at the mercy of the top of our deck. So we just have to hope that we draw like a negate and that we can then shoot one of our lands with Ghost Quarter to play it. In the event that he does do something that kills our Geist, I think I'd rather just have another threat in place. So this lets him do whatever he wants, but it does something with our mana, which at this point I think is better. Okay, so he's still just intent on killing our Geist with his bird token. So I'm going to definitely run Geist into that. So I think playing the Angel was the correct line because now he's going to kill our Geist and we still have a threat on the board. Opponent's at once, player land, and see what happens. And again, this is like our opponent doesn't have anything suspended. So he's walking the Aeons to draw a card and take another turn, but he's not gaining any major advantage. Now, if he has enough that he can now then like take another turn and then put the thing into play, that's fine. But I have a feeling he's just going to fail here. Now, if he's able to then play a land, play a dictate, and take another turn, then maybe he's going to get somewhere. But this is just not accomplishing a lot for our opponent. Yeah, see, he didn't get the card draws into play. So that worked out pretty well for us. Hope you guys enjoyed the match. I'll be making my way through the rest of this league. I don't know that I'm going to do it all this second. You may see me in different clothes because I may do it over the course of a couple of days. But I will go ahead and post this up. Today's actually Wednesday, July the 6th. I'll probably just go ahead and post this up next Monday just so we kind of have the old, what I used to do, which is have a league through the week. Anyway, nice talking to you guys. Nice playing some Magic with you guys. Draw well and smash face. Bye.